welcome, I'm 𝗬𝘂𝗯𝐿, and I wanted to have a little chat with you about Call of the Wild, 𝗬𝘂𝐴𝐿𝐴. Why do so many people hate this game? Well, I can tell you there was so much negativity coming in on this game way before anyone other than selected YouTube content creators actually had their hands on it. How can you slate a game you've never played? If you go and have a look on the Steam web store, you'll see lots of people with opinions about what's good and what's bad about the game, but just ignore that completely. The majority of these people are just sheep. They're following other people's reactions, and the majority of them don't have A, the experience, or B, the understanding to give a proper review. This guy has played for 0.4 hours. That's less than 30 minutes. Now, he's got a point. He makes one good point. He doesn't like the water. There are water reflection issues in this game, and there are also water movement issues in this game. If you're standing on the shore, the water flowing at high speed underneath your feet looks incredibly weird. At night time, it looks like an oil slick, many of my friends have said. Yes, this is true. If you're at Bear Lake, that is what you're going to see. If you head up to the hot springs, you're going to see a completely different water effect. Clear, blue, beautiful, crystal clear, blue, beautiful hot water springs. And it's incredible to look at. It is so stunning. This guy here played quite a bit more. Actually made some decent comments, decent feedback, decent suggestions. But the thing is, everybody is saying that this should not be a full release game. And I quite agree with them, because although it doesn't say early access, I think it should say early access, but maybe someone somewhere thought that that would be a bad idea. And maybe that's why so many people are angry about it. But it isn't a finished game. It's not even close to a finished game. I'm going to prove to you that that is the situation here. Anyone who didn't know that going into it really should have watched better YouTube content creators, because I've uploaded probably about 12 hours, maybe more, of unedited, pure gameplay, and it is so much fun to play this game. There is so much positive stuff in this game. Everybody who actually plays it likes it. For example, the potential is there. What drew me in was the fact that it did not look like a competitive or professional fishing game, but even with that in mind, it really is bare bones. It's an early access. That's right, it is. I don't understand why so many people are giving it a negative review for being exactly what it said it was going to be. This is a foundation. This is not the full release game. I am going to prove it to you in a minute. So there we go. Long rant. Just get Ultimate Fishing Simulator. Check back in a year to see if they fix this. I don't know who this game is for. Presumably the 5 people who have left positive reviews. It's a fishing game where 90% of the time you're not fishing. This is a porn star meme. I'd like to fish. Best I can do is driving for 3 hours with the jankiest vehicle controls this decade. Well, yeah, I agree with that. When you're controlling the car with the joystick, it works perfectly well. That's clearly what it was designed for. When you're trying to drive it with a keyboard, it's bloody horrible. It's doable, but it's not easy. It's not fun, that's for damn sure. But again, that doesn't justify a negative review. At least he's put a couple of hours in. The graphics are fine. People are complaining about them, but it's fine for a niche market like fishing games. With the exception to this is the water. 100% agree with you. That is what the situation is. But these negative reviews do not reflect the game at all. This guy, less than an hour played. Huge step down from the Hunter, feels like you're playing an alpha. It's an early access title, even though it's not called early access. That's what it is. It's a foundation upon which they're going to build. They are looking for feedback from the community in order to build the game how we want it. That is what early access is all about. Why they didn't call it early access in Steam is beyond me. That probably would have quelled 98% of the arguments here. This guy, less than an hour. Extremely excited for the game, had huge expectations, fell way short than it would have done. I also noticed a lot of dismissal over the Steam review, stating that they're mostly just players who spent 5 minutes playing and decided to leave a scathing review. Well, that's what they are. I mean, there are some games you can play for 5 minutes and you know for a fact it's awful. You just know it's awful from the minute you start to the minute you finish. This is not one of those games. It really isn't one of these games. Sorry, mate, you're so wrong. 12 hours. Okay, you can't recommend the current game. It's not about the water. It's not about minor bugs. It's not about being an arcade game. It's about the game being released with fundamental forms and its primary objective about fishing. Yeah, it's not a sim. It's miles from Fishing Planet, but there are some real basics that are missing. Simply shouldn't have allowed the game to be a full release. Yeah, see, the thing is, it's not a full release. I think this is what pissing most of the people off. It really isn't a full release. You read the negative reviews, wanted to give it a try anyway. Early access game, at least it would have prepared you better for it, right? These are uninformed people What you're doing, guys, is you're watching the wrong YouTubers. That's why you all hate the game, because you've watched these YouTubers that only try and promote the game to you, instead of a YouTuber who tries to show you what the game is and what the game offers. You know, I can't tell you more than that. You are watching the wrong people. You are watching people who do not give a toss about you or your money. They only care about views and creating content that makes them money. They couldn't give two shits about you. That's the reality of it. Let's get some proof, okay?
It's I was joking with the Call of the Wild crowd yesterday, and because I always really purposely said if we were ever to develop a fishing game, we'd probably make a standalone game, because it's not as simple as putting fish in a lake in Leighton Lakes, for instance.
Let me just say straight off the bat that I would have loved so much if they could have integrated fishing into Call of the Wild.
And I think people never really took that as seriously as the words were meant, so it's very, very cool.
Game development was that easy, right?
Yeah, that's right. Just put some digital fish in there, they'll work themselves out, right? I guess like the main question everybody wants to know is, you know, what kind of game is the Angler going to be?
Yeah, it's an open world fishing game, you know, and it's been designed around for players to explore a vast and varied, you know, beauty of nature, ride the open waters, team up with friends, and hopefully enjoy a truly immersive fishing experience, something that I don't think you will have played anywhere else.
And on that front, they have 1,000,000% delivered. Because I tried to get a maximum of 12 players to come and join me. Honestly, it's difficult to manage even a small number of people as 12. Trying to get them all in the same place at the same time, on the same page, not very easy at all. But anyway, I think we got up to a maximum of 9. I think we had 8 or 9 people. And the servers coped very well. We explored the area, we messed about, we were joking with each other. There was a lot of banter being thrown about left, right and centre. All of that was a prelude to the fishing. The fishing was fun. We enjoyed the fishing. We had some competitions against each other. We had some races in the boats. We even had a race in the cars at one point, up a hill climb race, followed by a bit of fishing at the end. And do you know what? It was so much fun. It was so immersive, as they've said, and it was just absolutely brilliant. And if you're not on board with that, then what the hell are you doing buying the game and reviewing it badly? He is literally explained what the game is right from the beginning there. That is the core of this game. That is its USP. If you're not into that, you shouldn't even be looking at this game.
What is going to set the Angler apart from the other fishing games, Roushi?
Well, I think there's a couple of things which help set us apart. And first, I think, is our atmospheric open world, which you're going to be able to traverse either on foot, or you can jump on the water and use a boat, or use an off-road vehicle as well to drive around. So it's very easy to kind of get around and find that perfect fishing spot. And next, I think, is just the sheer beauty of the nature, that visual splendor, I think, that we've been able to kind of recreate inside the game. So I think, you know, being inside our reserve, you're just going to, you know, love spending time there.
That, again, is key. Now, if you're such a big fan of Call of the Wild and you've really been looking forward to this game, why haven't you watched this video? And if you have watched this video, why do you hear that and not acknowledge it to your brain? Do you understand what I'm saying? That is what this experience is all about. It's about exploring the area, finding places to fish, finding the best spots to fish. It's a real exploration, and they've so delivered so well on that. They really have.
And then our fish species, I think they're going to stand out because we've been spending a lot of time and effort to make sure that they each have their own unique traits and behaviours, and of course different size and weights, of course, which will lead to, I think, what will be quite an immersive and engaging fishing experience. And then I think finally my favourite element is the freedom. It truly is up to you how you want to approach this game. With either the gear you use or where you go to find the best fishing spots in the open world.
Now, this is the other thing. I made 2 videos. So I was, in case you don't know, I was paid by Call of the Wild, the Angler dev team to make a video promoting this game. Now, I've never made a promotional video in my life. This is the first time I've ever done it. And I made the promotional video based on the expressed desired information that they wanted me to convey. But after making it, I felt like it was actually lacking something. And what it was lacking was my true feeling towards the game. So I made a video saying what they wanted me to say and promoting it in the way that they wanted me to promote it. But then I made a second video basically saying what I thought. And what I thought about the game was the freedom to have fun. That's the key words for me. It's the freedom to have fun in Call of the Wild the Angler. You can invite your friends in and you can do anything. And I've shown this, I've proved this, I've explained this, I've displayed this. You can go and watch all of this gameplay footage on either of my channels. And that really is the core of the game. It's the freedom to experience the environment and the fishing how you want to do it. Now, you can fast travel to all of the main locations, and then you can spawn a car there, and then you can take the car to wherever you want, and you can walk up the mountain and you can fish. It's an open world fishing experience, and it's so damn good. It's incredibly good. Now, people are moaning that there's too much traveling and walking around. You're completely missing the point, guys. You are completely missing the point. This is an open world fishing experience, and my God, is it a good one. There are so few restrictions on what you can and can't do. You can't jump in the water, which is a bit disappointing. You can walk up to maybe about waist height, which is kind of cool because you can fish from within the water, and it means you can get to pretty much every nook and cranny. There is not a single spot in this game that you cannot fish. That's how good this game is, and that is not as easy to do as it is to say. They have really delivered so much on the open world experience here, and if you can't embrace that and get on board with that, you shouldn't even be looking at the game, and you sure as hell shouldn't be reviewing the game, because what they've said they're going to deliver, they have delivered tenfold.
Yeah, awesome. And I mean, looking at the trailer, the beauty is just something. Oh, I think it's an industry setting, really. Like, people think Call of the Wild is pretty. This is a much newer game, so you guys are going to love it. It's fantastic.
Now, some of the water is better than others. If you haven't seen my videos, I urge you, so urge you to go and check them out, because you will see every corner of the entire environment. Every pond and puddle that I could find, I fished in, and the experience was an absolutely wonderful one. And yes, they're going to have to fix the reflections of Bear Lake. They are terrible. Everyone knows this. But again, this is not a full release title. This is a foundation upon which the game will evolve. Now, you might not be happy with the way the water looks, but come on, guys. I mean, be fair. Let me just show you what we've got. Yeah, look at the price of this game. $23.79 for a 25-kilometer open world fishing experience. $23.79. Okay, let's just go to the store and let's search for fishing. Right, so you've got a free-to-play game there, Fishing Planet. But if you want to buy everything in there, let's just give you some context upon which you can price the game. That's going to cost you nearly £1,000 to play that game with all of that content. Nearly £1,000, and people don't complain about that, do they? Let's see, what other fishing games have we got? Ultimate Fishing Simulator 2, £15.49. That's an incredibly good price and an incredibly good game, but it's not an open world fishing game. If you like fishing games, definitely go check out Ultimate Fishing Simulator 2. I've made some videos on it. There are more to come. Go and check that out. Russian Fishing 4, free to play. People sing and dance about this game all the time. And I've tried to get into it. I really have. You know what? I'm going to download it right now whilst we're doing this little snippet, just to see what it's about, because I still haven't had time to play that. Ultimate Fishing Simulator, still £15, which is ridiculous when you consider how much better Ultimate Fishing Simulator 2 is than Ultimate Fishing Simulator. That's crazy. Let's see. The Fisherman is in here for 30 quid somewhere. The Fisherman, where is it? Come on. Oh, you've got all the Dovetail game fishing games. They're like 10, 20 quid each. That's on sale at the moment to Combat. But look at it. It's a shocking game. Really bad game. Eurofishing, £10. Really bad game. Made in 2015. Nearly 10 years old. Terrible game. Don't buy anything from Dovetail Games regarding fishing. You'll just regret it. Fishing Sim World Pro Tour, again 15 quid. Transport Fever, Fishing and Bacon. Where is there it is, The Fisherman. $24.99. Now, this has got really bad reviews as well, but it's an incredibly good fishing simulator, this one. Really, really excellent. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is that it is reasonably priced, and when you consider the open world experience that they're offering, it's incredible. It really is. Let's carry on.
So, obviously you've done you've produced quite a few games now. What is some of the challenges that you've faced here with the Angler?
As you mentioned at the beginning of the stream, game dev isn't as simple as just adding fish to an existing game. So there's been plenty of uphill struggles, but that's with any game in game dev. So I think one of the first things that was challenging was making sure that the fishing mechanics felt authentic, trying to make them feel tactile and engaging, so like the rod play feels good when you're interacting with the fish, because we really want to make sure it's a fun and ultimately a believable experience as well. And to do that, we had to do so much research. We were talking to fishing experts and getting what practical hands-on time we could do during a worldwide pandemic, which was never easy. Because fishing, as I'm sure everyone on the stream knows, is that it's a very in-depth and often complex pastime. So many intricacies and details, which we've really tried to capture. And then, of course, we wanted to replicate that fish behavior, and that's been a tough challenge. Trying to make sure that each one feels unique as you battle them. And then probably the biggest task was actually working out how to populate a massive open world with fish. We had to create an entirely new fish ecosystem, essentially that would then spawn the fish appropriately relative to depth, temperature, altitude and more to create that living, breathing ecosystem.
But that's how fish are produced here. In Ultimate Fishing Simulator 2, the fish are present permanently. So what are the differences? I mean, there are things that certainly do need work. Let me just, I've already said this in other videos, but Ultimate Fishing Simulator 2, if you have the right bait, the right fishing rod, the right line, and you're fishing in the right location at the right time, you might not catch a fish. All right, that's very realistic. Okay, you've got all the right equipment, you're doing all the right things, and you still might not catch a fish. Even though you're experienced, you've played the game for many, many hours, you still might not catch a fish. Well, my experience of Call of the Wild, the angler, is if you've got the right bait, the right fishing rod, etc., 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 and you're fishing in the right place, you'll catch a fish. You'll catch a fish approximately every 2 to 3 minutes minimum, sometimes much, much quicker than that. And if you see a fish jump out of the water next to you whilst you're walking along, you can just drop your fishing line in there, and if you set up correctly, you'll catch that fish. It's very, very easy to catch fish in this game. It is not a simulator by any stretch of the imagination. I would definitely like to see it more difficult, or maybe have a difficulty setting. That would be nice to see. But at the moment, it isn't a hardcore fishing sim at all. Just to make that clear.
What are the plans for future content? Can you give us any kind of hints around that, 𝗁𝗁𝗁?
So this is really important. This is the key to the whole thing, right? This is the reason why all the reviews are unfair or unjust or inaccurate. And it's really important that you listen to this point.
Well, as you know, the stock response of we're focusing on delivering a great experience at launch, and we're polishing, tuning and iterating right now. But that said, Call of the Wild the Angler is a live service game, and that's something we're going to build and expand upon. And I think the important point here is that we're going to be collaborating closely with you, the community, over time. So I'm sure there's going to be some Hunter Call of the Wild fans here in the chat as well. And as you've seen on that great game, there's been so much content, so many new features added, and you can expect, no less here. And it's important to note as well that whilst we're already looking to what comes next as we start to polish the game now for release, the future will ultimately be defined by you guys when you get your hands on it. We're really eager to hear what you want. What changes, what updates, what features, what content you want to see. So when you pick up the game, be sure to get in the various social channels and let us know.
Yeah, awesome.
That is the key to this. They never ever utter the words early access game, and I think that's their downfall. Because a lot of people are expecting a fully polished article, but quite clearly here in this video that they released prior to release, the whole end goal of this game is going to be defined by the players themselves. So for 20 quid, there is more than enough game in Call of the Wild the Angler for any player out there. If you're a hardcore fishing fan, you've already got your hardcore fishing sim in the bag. Maybe you don't need to pick this one up yet, but maybe you want to influence what direction the game goes in. That's normally called early access. Now, for whatever reason, and I think this is probably the biggest problem for people, is that they never ever clearly define that this is not the end game. And they should have been much clearer about where the game is. Now, if you watch my gameplay video footage, unedited footage of me and my friends playing on the game, we talk about all the stuff that needs to change and be improved and be added and the features we want to see. There is so much that could be added and improved to this game, but as a foundation, it's absolutely brilliant, especially the multiplayer element. It's so good, and that's what you're buying into. Now, he called it, what did he say, a product service, a live service product. What that effectively means is that the game will evolve and be developed over time as requirements come in from the players as to what they desperately want to see in the game. I think if they'd have just been a lot clearer about that, people would have been less annoyed.
That is fantastic. And like how big, exactly how big are these open worlds, 𝗦𝘂𝗧cie? Like how big is the map in the Angler?
Well, I guess we should probably introduce our reserve.
Yes.
It's called Golden Ridge Reserve, and it's going to be based in North America, and it's going to be 64 kilometers squared, just like Hunter called the Wild maps are. And we've crafted a playable area of 24 kilometers.
So it's 24 kilometers of explorable area, and then the 64 kilometers outer area is what gives you that depth and the sense of being in an environment, just to clarify that.
And in there, you're going to have a vast network of interconnected waterways where you'll be able to explore and fish in, which is also accompanied by, obviously, the beautiful vistas, varied biomes, and many points of interest to discover as well.
Yeah, that is awesome. And the next one, I think, is just really important for us to touch on. Like, we have a track record of supporting our games for years. I mean, Classic's going, I think it's 14 years now. What is Call of the Wild at? 4 or 5 years? Like, how long are we planning to support the Angler? I'm guessing, with our track record, it's pretty similar.
Oh, just the same. Yeah, our plan is to support the game in the long term. We're committed to continually improving the game in close collaboration with the community, and I think it's exciting just to think about that journey ahead and where it's going to take us, and what the game's going to be like in years to come.
Yeah, no, I think...
So there you go. What the game is going to be like in years to come. They're thinking very much long-term here. They're selling long-term. Where this notion of a completely polished, finished article came from, I do not know. At no point, whilst I was playing this game before the game released, did I think, this is the end product. Never once did that enter my mind. It helps, I suppose, that they sent me a long list of known bugs that they were working on. So, I knew for a fact that this wasn't the end game. It's just the foundation. It's the beginning of it all. Now, there are so many YouTubers out there that have cut and edited and, put content together to make the game look more polished and brilliant than it is. That's called promotion, okay? That's not honest gameplay at all. That is them trying to pull the wool over your eyes. I never do that. You should really try and watch better YouTubers. That's my advice.
Yeah, I think it's awesome, and it's nice that a company has that track record of such long support to games. It's always a good investment for players. So, yeah. And now this one is... I think it's awesome because fishing is such a social thing, right? You want to share the good times with your buddies and stuff. Does the Angler have multiplayer in it?
Absolutely, it does have multiplayer, and to that point of fishing is a social experience, and that's what we wanted to try and recreate. So we've got support for up to 12 players in a seamless online multiplayer cooperative environment.
So there you go. What the game is going to be like in years to come. They're thinking very much long-term here. They're selling long-term. Where this notion of a completely polished, finished article came from, I do not know. At no point, whilst I was playing this game before the game released, did I think, this is the end product. Never once did that enter my mind. It helps, I suppose, that they sent me a long list of known bugs that they were working on. So, I knew for a fact that this wasn't the end game. It's just the foundation. It's the beginning of it all. Now, there are so many YouTubers out there that have cut and edited and, put content together to make the game look more polished and brilliant than it is. That's called promotion, okay? That's not honest gameplay at all. That is them trying to pull the wool over your eyes. I never do that. You should really try and watch better YouTubers. That's my advice.
By default, when you jump into the reserve, you're going to be matched into a world with others. You can, of course, join up with friends directly. And if you don't want the multiplayer experience, that's fine. You can absolutely play solo on your own. But when you are in multiplayer, though, you can have those opportunities, those chance encounters with others, seeing other people fish, and see what they're catching, and you'll be able to share vehicles to go on fishing adventures together. And I think it's going to be quite a unique social experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'd also like to point out as well that the multiplayer does support crossplay as well. So irrespective of whether you're on Steam, Windows, or Epic, you're going to all be able to play together.
Yeah, and when console players join as well, I think it's going to be a very good, solid online multiplayer experience. I tried to get 12 players on, and I deliberately tried to make it as difficult for the server as possible, having multiple boats spawn, having multiple vehicles spawned. And yes, the game did crash probably 3 times on me, and about 2 or 3 times on some of my friends as well. But ultimately, it's very solid. I mean, in well over 24 hours of gameplay, the game crashed on me 3 times. Now, for an early release, pre-release version that's nowhere near a finished article, that's very stable.
That is fantastic. And I kind of touched on it before, but obviously I didn't want to spoil this question. The game is so beautiful, 𝗬𝐬𝗂𝐂𝐕𝐈𝐄𝐻. Which is this done on? Because like it's oh geez, 20-30% prettier than Call of the Wild, I just have to say.
Yeah, we're using the latest version of the Avalanche Studios Group proprietary Apex open world engine. So compared to the Hunter Call of the Wild, hopefully, as you pointed out, you'll immediately notice the improvements to the visual fidelity. When you get to play it, you'll hear the audio landscape, the responsiveness to the UI system, and then behind the scenes, we've improved all the tools and the pipelines, so that we can deliver, that kind of rapid, high-quality content post-release as well. So yeah, it's great to be able to work in such an awesome engine.
Yeah, cool. And we were talking about company track records, and we've always had like very high standards for trying to maintain hunting ethics in the digital world. What sort of ethics do we have any ethics in the Angler? Like, can you explain to people what they can expect in terms of that?
Yeah, this was something that when I joined Expansive Worlds, it was kind of communicated straight away. We need to be one with nature in many ways. So we have to share the passion for the outdoors, and we have to act responsibly and sustainably, whether that's in-game or even when we're doing our research. So, the angler itself, that operates a catch and release policy. So the fish, even though they're digital, they'll still always return safely to the water. We've even got the warden of Golden Ridge Reserve, who will impart many words of wisdom about nature and conservation. And if you choose to do so, you can even help the warden manage invasive plant species inside the world as well.
That is cool, very cool. And real life hunting, fishing brands, I should say, are there going to be any in the game on launch?
So at launch, we'll have a good selection of fictional brands created for rods, reels, apparel, vehicles, and more. However, we are very keen to investigate the possibility of adding real-world brands to the game in the long term. So what I'd like to know is, from the community, what brands do you want to see first? Let us know, and we'll see what we can do.
So they communicated this very early on, that there wasn't going to be any official branded stuff. So much more could be done with the fishing equipment. When they bring in branded equipment, I think there's going to be a big plus for some people, not all people. I think what's there is perfectly decent, but to have proper official stuff will just add to the immersion and the realism. But what I'm more concerned about seeing in the future is the ability to have rod stands, be able to fish with more than one rod. I mean, I'd like to be able to fish with up to 3 rods. I'd like to be able to pick a fishing rod up and walk around with it whilst I'm fishing. None of these things are available right now. I'd also like to see the ability, when you pick up a fish, when you reel in a fish, to be able to use a net to land it. Like, as a player, if you're in multiplayer, maybe you can pick up, put your rod down, pick up a net, and help your friend to pull in their fish. Now, the transition between collecting a fish and hauling it in is it's just missing right now in the game. There's no other way of saying it. It's definitely not there. So that needs to be worked on anyway. But the ability to pick up a fishing net and help your friends land a big fish, I think would be incredible. I would love to see that, massively love to see that. I'd also like to see the ability to walk around with a fish once you've caught it, because there are so many situations where your friends can't come and look at the fish you've got because you're standing right on the edge of the boat or something, and you can't rotate whilst you have the fish in your hand. So I think that whole area could be improved. I'm not saying the game is perfect in its current state, because it clearly is not, but what I'm saying is that as a foundation, it's very solid, and these things being added in the future are just going to make this game the best game for fishing. If you want realistic fishing, that is. I'm talking about realism here. In the real world, you don't just spawn to a fishing point and start fishing, which is what every other fishing game delivers. You actually walk to it, drive to it, get on a boat and travel to it. That's in this game, and that isn't in any other fishing game at all.
I'm just going to double back one question, because I see this popping up plenty of times. But yes, it is going to be released on consoles as well, but that's going to be later in the year. Is that correct, 𝗬𝐬𝗬𝐬, or is it after?
That's absolutely right.
Yeah, okay.
PC first, and then consoles down the line. We don't have a date to tell you just yet, but hopefully not too long afterwards.
There we go. I see lots of Abu Garcia, and there's some Repeller in there too, because people are throwing out their favourite fishing brands there. So there we go. We'll probably end up putting a survey out or something like that, I guess, to capture people's wants and needs there. So Call of the Wild, classic. They've always had missions and challenges and stuff. You know, can we expect to see this in the Angler as well?
You absolutely can, but it will be a little bit different to maybe what you're familiar with if you have played those games. So we're going to have a range of missions and challenges. We'll have Sophia, who's a Golden Ridge Reserve shopkeeper, and she'll have a series of missions that you can go on, which are all non-linear in their progression, entirely optional. And then we have Clayton, who's the Golden Ridge Reserve warden. He's got a series of favours that he needs you to do whilst out your travels, which again, entirely optional, completely non-linear. So you can basically choose if and how you want to engage with those missions in between your fishing.
Awesome.
And I've seen quite a few people moaning about these missions and challenges that you've got to do. You don't have to do any of them. You don't have to do the tutorials. You don't have to do anything at all. When you drive around and explore the area, you unlock the fast travel areas. That's the only thing you have to do. And if you can drive around this wonderful environment and not get caught up in the, oh my God, that looks fantastic. Look at that incredible waterfall. I wonder what's behind or what's at the top of that massive hill or that mountain, or look at this wonderful place here. I'd love to come and fish here. In fact, I might even just pull my truck up and do a little bit of fishing off the bridge. You can't do that in any other game, and it delivers that so well here.
And you know, there are, you know, in Call of the Wild we have you know, your non-trophies right up to diamonds and stuff. Like, how will that be? How, you know, is that reflected in the Angler too? How will somebody know if they've caught a big fish or not?
We've got a ranking system for our fish, absolutely. So the top tier of which is diamond ranked fish. They're going to be the rarest in the reserve and often the hardest to catch.
So the fact that they're using this same system as Call of the Wild, it shouldn't be a surprise to you that this isn't a hardcore simulation game. But it's an attempt, I think at least, to make it more realistic. There are special fish out there. Super strong, super smart, super difficult to find. That's what you're after, is that reward system there. And to get those fish really is difficult. I think I've caught one diamond fish, maybe two maximum. In total, I've seen maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 caught in 24 hours of gameplay. So, I mean, at the moment, I think maybe it's a little bit too easy, but definitely there are challenges there that might not immediately be obvious to you.
You need to scour the reserve to find where they spawn and have the right gear to catch them, and then fight hard to land the catch. So yeah, best of luck trying to get them.
Cool, that is awesome. So the fish will spawn in all different sizes within the species, i.e. the biggest ones making diamond, like you just said. You mentioned to me yesterday, actually, that there is a brand new system that controls the spawning behavior of the fish. Can you touch on that briefly?
Yeah, this was really important for us to get right. So we've got a unique system which controls all the spawning behaviors of the fish, which utilizes a really good range of environmental conditions within the open world, such as water temperature, time of day, altitude, and more, to determine where and when the fish will be active in the world. So the populations of the fish are entirely dynamic and reactive to the environment. So you're going to need to factor that in as you go in search of the best fishing spots.
So whereas games like Ultimate Fishing Simulator 2 have fish pre-spawned and permanently living in the water and you just have to go catch them, here the environment, the weather, the time of the day and the altitude are what dictate how many and where fish spawn. Where they swim off to after that is anybody's guess, but that's how the spawning system works here, which is quite clever and quite intricate and also quite unique.
Just to kind of add on to that, what I'm getting at is if you understand fishing in real life, you can probably apply those same things to the game if you come in. Is that right?
Yeah, and if anything, if you know, as an experienced angler, you're going to have a huge leg up, really, in terms of everyone else. You'll pretty much know by looking at the map and understanding where the specific type of fish will spawn. So, yeah, hopefully it all matches up with the real life experiences that you had.
But that's what they're going for. They're looking for realism, realistic fish behavior, realistic fish positioning, location, and spawning, etc. So that's really cool. I'm really glad they've done that. In addition, and I never mentioned this, there are tutorials available to the right of the shop that will help guide you to the right place to find the right kind of fish. So there are so many ways that you can find the fish that you want. And once you know where fish are, once you've caught a couple of fish from a specific area, you know they're there for good. Finding catfish can be awfully difficult, I've discovered, but it can be done. There are challenges. I mean, if you just want to go in there and catch a generic, simple fish, maybe a pike or something like that, then you could pretty much fish anywhere and catch a pike. Not anywhere. There are places where pike don't spawn, it seems. But there are definitely a lot of easy places to go and find pike. So, you know, it's all about what you want to do in the game. The amount of freedom you have is absolutely mind-boggling. There is no loading into an area. It is one area and you can explore anywhere you like, and it's fantastic.
It's cool. I'm sure there's going to be people scouring the map as the first thing they do to try and work out where to head, their favourite fish, so that's cool. Does the release of Call of the Wild the Angler mean less resources for Call of the Wild? I know there's been a little bit of murmur about that, so good to address that one.
No, I mean, that's the first thing. No, it hasn't affected the Hunter at all. The Angler has largely been developed by a brand new team, and it hasn't impacted the development of the Hunter. That game continues to grow, and it's extremely important to Expansive Worlds and Avalanche Studios Group, so no resources taken away there. And additionally, as the teams are all part of Expansive Worlds, we've really been able to share knowledge and experience with each other, and hopefully that's going to create, you know, a better fishing experience with the support.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Now, this one is a personal one to me that I got added in, basically. Multiplayer and everything like that, right? Everybody needs to look unique, I think, you know, in terms of customization. So what can we do in the Angler?
Well, you've got a full range of customization tools, which is great. So you're going to be able to visit the shopkeeper, browse a broad selection of apparel and gear. You're going to be able to purchase everything from boots to wellies, gloves to sunglasses, shorts, t-shirts, jackets, hats, and more, all to kind of customize your character and look unique. We'll try and reserve some special ones for you, Matt, right?
Yeah, yes, please.
and then gear-wise, we'll have, you know, everything from spinning, bait casting, match rods, a selection of reels, lines, lures, hooks, baits, floats, and more that you're going to be able to, you know, tailor your tackle to catch, you know, those diamond ring fish.
Yeah, that is cool. That is very cool. So I guess, like, that's kind of the end of our questions. I'm very excited about the customizable stuff. Okay, so it's going to be fantastic. And, you know, I always try and get the most unique, weird looking thing possible, even though it doesn't make any sense. So you know, always stick out like a sore thumb in real life, so might as well do it digitally as well, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to take a few questions from you guys now, okay? But one that I have seen popped up a lot is you know, I think we did touch on it earlier, but will players be able to display their trophies? That seems to be a very common question that keeps popping up.
We don't have let's say a specific trophy lodge or a place to put your best catches. But what we do have is that when you catch the fish, we've got some nice reward poses where you'll be holding the fish, you'll be able to hide all the hood, take some snapshots, and every single fish that you catch, of course, is recorded in your journal as well. So it's something that, you know, if the community feedback is something you want to see, you know, you want to be able to keep your trophies and put them in something like a lodge like in the Hunter, maybe that's something we can look at in the future. But there'll be ample ways for you to be able to capture a good screenshot though. Yeah,
awesome. That's cool. I think it's yeah, I quite like that actually. It's like, I think most serious fishermen, unless you want them for food, end up releasing your fish anyway, you know, unless it's like a really crazy big one or something. So it's quite nice, and as long as you have a record there, I think it's pretty awesome. So let me have a look. What other questions have we got going on here? Man, this chat is moving so fast. How many people can fit in one boat, Paul?
Four.
4?
Yeah, I think, and that's the same for the 4x4 vehicle we've got as well. So yeah, four players will be able to jump in there. So obviously, if you've got a maximum of 12 friends all on a server together, then you'll need 3 vehicles to go out. But that's that's easy enough to do.
That's cool. Oh jeez, I can't even. The chat room is so fast. I can't even grab another.
Guys.
We need lodges, is what they're saying. But I mean, like, I hope you guys know that, like, with our track record here at the company, this is going to go out, and basically all we're going to be doing is listening to you guys. Rashi was talking about before too. Is like, we want to move with you guys, and I think you were saying that before too about our release plan. Is that, like, we're going to be listening to what you guys as players want, and obviously we have some ideas about a release plan in the short term, but long term you guys will be largely steering the needs and wants.
You guys will be largely steering the needs and wants. I mean, you can't put it much clearer than that. Well, actually, that's not true. They could have made it much clearer, but basically that's what they've done. They've launched a foundation, and upon which you, as a player, will guide where the game goes.
Get that right, Rashi?
Exactly. I mean, that's something that we've really been talking about over the last 6 months or so, is how we're going to try to be as kind of reactive and responsive to you guys as possible. Obviously, as you all know, you can't ask for something and the next day it'll suddenly be there. But we definitely will be listening and trying to change the roadmap as we go to make sure that we're tailoring the experience to what you guys want, because we're making this game for you ultimately.
Yeah, that's cool. I see. This is probably like, we can't ever confirm anything that hasn't gone out in the game. That we haven't announced, but like, I see a lot of requests for bow fishing out there, so that's like, there'll be people taking all these notes down, ladies and gentlemen. But like I was saying, is bow fishing is not confirmed on launch, but
no, there's no bow fishing. And I've also seen comments about, will there be dynamite fishing as well? But absolutely not. As kind of mentioned, we operate a very ethical form of fishing with catch and release policy, so definitely not at that launch. Maybe a systemic reaction once you introduce angling to maybe second extinction, they can blow up some fish. We can sort that out for them.
Perfect. Yeah, I saw that chat disintegrate down to harpoons there. So yeah, we definitely, as mentioned before, trying to keep some high ethical standards there in the game. I think we need to run over a couple. We've answered them earlier on again, Rashi, but can you just run us through the crossplay and release date? We haven't talked about exactly what fish species. Everyone's asking about what sort of fish species again out there. But if you head to Steam, there is a few little extra gems hidden on the Steam page. And while you're there, make sure you hit that button. So yeah. All right. One question that's on the list that we didn't ask, and I think it needs to, is will there be a big mouth 𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂𝗂 game, Rashi?
See, you joke. I think there was a serious discussion at one point in development about how do we get that in game, because it's been a fun project this, and we have come up with lots of silly ideas like that. And maybe if enough people want it, it could be something. But I will say though, is because I think our team have worked together fantastically well and had a lot of fun making the project. We have put a few Easter eggs in the reserve for you to find. So not a big mouth Billy Bass, but a few other things maybe.
Yeah, that's cool. I just see another common one is a price point. We haven't decided on that yet, ladies and gentlemen. As soon as we know, we'll be sure to get it out to you guys. 100%. That's one of those questions where me as a community manager, I want to know as well, so I can answer that question before it starts burning into my eyeballs, So there we go. And where was another one? I mean, this is the first map as well, guys. So I see the saltwater questions too. You never know, right? I mean, I think we haven't limited ourselves. We've created a fishing game. It's called The Angler. And you never know what the future holds for it, really.
Yeah.
So
we haven't said no to anything yet.
Yeah.
Obviously, if our first reserve is freshwater fishing, but again, if that's what everybody wants, and if it's good for the game, then obviously we'll consider it and we'll talk with you guys and try and see what we can do in the future.
Yeah. Another one that seems to pop up quite a bit is like, has there been any chat within the team about a competition system, or is that something else that maybe down in the future, or could be on the cards?
Yeah, our focus for day one was definitely creating that co-op experience where you can kind of go on fishing adventures together. But we definitely recognise that people will want competitive experiences. So it's definitely something we've been discussing and trying to work out what's the best way to allow you guys to compete with one another. But for day one, the focus is on exploring the world together and having that social experience.
Yeah, beautiful. Alrighty-o. So is there any, like, now that I just see a lot more kind of individual questions and stuff, so like, let me know, we've got a couple more minutes left before we knock this on the head. Is there anything else? I see actually rare fish popping up a lot, Rushy. Is that something that maybe one day, like Call of the Wild has albinos and stuff like that, or something?
It's not something that's in the game for launch, but it's a cool idea, and it's something that obviously I think it would be a great addition if we can.
Yeah, awesome. That is cool. Right, I just give it a little bit more time, but I think there's I'm just going to address this. It's not really a true rack system for fish, but there is, like, they do change in sizes, right? So you're going to get fluctuation in the sizes of fish within that species. So
exactly that, yeah. So you obviously, every individual fish that you caught within a given species will have a realistic range of lengths and weights and things, so and they will vary with each catch, of course, and that will have obviously an influence on the actual fishing experience itself, of course, relative to the tackle that you're using.
Yeah, awesome. Ice fishing seems to be another one that's popping up again. I think that just goes with everything else we said: saltwater fishing, fly fishing. I saw an Amazonian river map too. It's like, these are all possibilities. Okay, we haven't said any limits to this game. We haven't said no to anything. Let's see where the community want it taken, I guess.
I think that's the best word, possibilities. Yeah. There are so many possibilities. I mean, coming back to the question that you asked earlier about our commitment to the game and, how long we're going to be adding new content and new features, then the possibilities are, and that's a cheesy phrase, but the possibilities are endless. So, I think hopefully we'll see all, or most or lots of these ideas and things come to the game over time.
Yeah, for sure. Alrighty, well, Rushy, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure that's been super helpful to all the aficionados out there. Got one in there.
Got one. I was waiting for the
but yeah, thank you very much for everyone watching, and yeah.
So guys, this is a game that's just going to get better and better with time, and if you want to be involved and direct which elements of the game are improved first, then you need to get involved. You need to come join their Discord, start chatting, sharing your thoughts and opinions, and of course, I know it might be difficult for some of you out there, but listening to other people's points of view as well, because it's not your game, it's a game for all of us, and some people are going to like it more than others, and some people are going to hate it more than others. But this game has been slated unfairly, I would say. It's not a finished article. At no point did I ever think or suggest or suggest to any of you that this was the finished article. And if you go and watch my gameplay footage, you will see hundreds of suggestions and ideas and recommendations and complaints and features and content changes that we'd like to see. This is a game that's got a foundation, and upon that is going to be an incredible fishing experience. I'm so looking forward to seeing what they do with this game. And for 20 quid, I think it's very reasonably priced, and wow, I'm so impressed with the game. And quite literally, I don't care who doesn't agree with me, because I know a good game when I see one, and this is a very good game. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Goodbye for now.
search of that perfect spot.